Howdy, YouTube. I'm back for my monthly comics review, and filming all these videos recently has been very easy because my wife somehow picked up the COVIDs, so we are self-isolating and all that nonsense for however long it has to be. So I suddenly found myself with some time on my hands, which is, kind of fantastic, really. I went to Heroes a couple weekends ago. No, maybe last weekend. And picked up what was in my bin, and it was surprisingly light, actually. So all I have from that haul is 3 different issues of Transformers. I can't speak anymore. Issues, right? Like, oh god. You get old, things just start to not work anymore, including your mouth, right? Whatever. Fortunately, not a problem down there. That's as good as gold. Not that you wanted to know that, but anywho, first up, issue 12 of Beast Wars. In this one, the fighting outside the dark side is picking up in intensity. Optimus Primal is like, Rat Trap, Nyx, we need to get out of here. What's going on inside there? So all these fights start ramping up. Optimus Primal takes on Megatron and actually serves him some good blows, which causes Black Arachnia, who is fighting either Cheetor or Dinobot, one of those two, to go, oh, he's stronger than, like, maybe I should rethink my allegiances here, right? So, and then in the meantime, Rhinox is engaging Scold, but he's not fighting back against her because he's like, you know what? Your Decepticons destroyed your friend Razor Beast, or whatever his name was. Like, they're a-holes. Like, switch to our side. So Rhinox does not fight back against her, and she's like, you know what? This is no fun fighting against somebody who's not engaging with me. Go get out of here before I change my mind, but I'm not switching sides. So there's all these different storylines going on outside the ship. Meanwhile, inside the ship, Rat Trap and Nyx are trying to escape, and Rat Trap has managed to lay his hands on the disc that they're after, which contains all this vital information, I think, on the Predacons and other stuff, Cybertronian things and whatnot. And that's what this whole attack was about, was to get this disc and kind of set the Predacons straight in the process. Ultimately, the Predacons trap them with a force field, but Optimus Primal bargains with Megatron and says, you know what, we got the disc, you're on the other side of the force field, you let us go, you can have your disc back. Megatron agrees. They get Maximals escape, get back to their ship, and they're like, oh, we lost the information in that disc. And then Rat Trap's like, yeah, you don't think I copied all that shit to my fucking hard drive or whatever before... Oh no, I dropped my comic. Before we escaped, sort of thing, right? So everybody's like, huzzah, we got the information. So then in the end, Megatron is swearing, like, our mission is no longer to just get off this infernal planet. It's to destroy Optimus Primal and the Maximals. And also, Tarantulas is going to work on an experiment with the deceased Terrorosaur. So something is up there. I'm just going to pick this up before, I bend the cover or something. No, it's all good. Next up, the fifth and final issue, I believe, of the King Grimlock series. In this one, Grimlock is set to take on the Golden One, the guy that kind of rules over Mononia, and the Golden One has taken in his thrall, what's her name? Arco, one of the females from the planet that Grimlock was first associated with, but they diverged and turned on each other, whatever. So Grimlock engages the Golden One. In the meantime, Arco's father and another sorcerer are blocking out the sun to create an eclipse to lessen the Golden One's power. And within the Golden One is Soltron. That's the ultimate being that feeds off this sun and is the power behind this evil Golden One. But the whole time the Golden One's like, you can't possibly defeat me, you giant robotic dinosaur creature. Like, I'm way more powerful than you. But Grimlock tricks him and enrages him and forces the fight inside Grimlock's own spark. So this fight kind of takes place on this different plane, and Grimlock ultimately prevails. In the process, he frees Arco from her kind of enthrallment by the Golden One, and she's like, oh my god, how can I ever face my people again? Look what I've done, yada yada. But they go back, talk to all the people, and Grimlock's like, you need a new leader, I'm out of here, but she's the one. And she's like, well, how can they ever forgive me for what I've done? And but then it's all good, they all forgive her, and she's set to become the new ruler. Grimlock is eventually dragged back to his own time and space, and as Optimus Prime pulls him through this portable too many over a year and a half working in portables, and it still scars me. Portal, as Optimus Prime pulls him through this portal, Grimlock's like, you know how he's never agreed necessarily with Prime's kind of leadership. Grimlock considers it soft, but this experience on Minonia and rallying these people and dealing with them and leading them has kind of changed his stance on Optimus's tactics, and so he comes back through, and Optimus Prime is pleasantly surprised with Grimlock's new kind of attitude, right? Last up, issue 4 of the Wreckers series. And in this one, it's the aftermath of the terror attack after the Speedia 500 was completed, which a robot named Knockout won. So the Wreckers are kind of looking around, like just keeping an eye on the proceedings, and making sure Mayhem and his terrorists don't cause another scene. And they can't find hide nor hair of these guys, so everything looks to be settling down. Now at the procession where Knockout is kind of addresses the citizens and says, you know, his piece with becoming the new first senator of Velocitron, he says things have got to change. You know, the Speedia 500 has been nothing but a spectacle all these years, and what a way to pick your leader. So things are going to change under my rule. As this speech is happening, one of the Wreckers, Aileron, or no, was it Minerva? I think it was Minerva. Minerva notices one of Mayhem's troops with a sniper rifle kind of racing to a higher spot, and so she chases after him and gets to him just after he's taken the shot, and this kind of rod pierces Knockout through the chest just as Aileron kind of gets to this guy, and eventually this robot has a self-destruct, so he blows up. It throws the whole thing into pandemonium. Mayhem's forces attack, so all the rest of the Wreckers are engaging them and forcing them to retreat. So eventually, I think Mayhem's forces all escape, and in the aftermath of it, Minerva is taken into custody by the Velocitron authorities because she was the one up on the sniper rifle platform that was found there because the other robot self-destructed, right? So she's the prime suspect in this assassination attempt on Knockout. And so in the end, we see that Knockout is maybe not so noble, and he's looking to maybe become a tyrant ruler as he's sitting on his new throne on Velocitron, sort of thing, and the way he's treating Minerva and stuff. And on the other hand, the Wreckers have been forced to leave Velocitron, and they've had to leave Minerva behind, unfortunately, in custody there. And as they're kind of giving their last broadcast, because they decided to maybe call things quits, at least for a little while, with their TV program that they have, what's his name? Circuit, one of the Wreckers, the kind of nerdy robot one, he actually perishes from his injuries. So they've left Minerva behind on Velocitron in custody there, and Circuit dies. So the Wreckers are kind of down and out, and you know, they decide to cancel their show. But their leader, Thunderblast, sends out a call to a whole bunch of worthy, noble robots to maybe become the next wave of Wreckers and reignite things and renew things and kind of start over and do things right this time, and not have suffer in the future the type of setbacks that they did with this whole Velocitron ordeal. So that's where it ends. I don't know if that's the end of the series or if they're going to pick it up and the story's going to go in a new direction, but I guess we'll find out soon enough. All that being said, I was not entirely out of comics this month, because I did go to Dollarama at some point as well, and I found 2 collections of Harley Quinn books that I just had to get. So the first one is it's collection number 4, called A Call to Arms. In this collection, Harley Quinn has, she's recently split from the Joker. She's seen the error of her bad ways. She wants to become kind of like a superhero, but like a nasty one, like, so this she recruits, she's already recruited her gang of Harleys, but it really focuses on her and her gang of Harleys, and they go out into the city and take on jobs to solve people's problems and solve crime and stuff. She's also involved with this new love interest named Mason Macabre, or however you say that word, who's actually was involved in a bar fight or something like that, where he killed the mayor's son by accident. It was kind of a mistake. And so while they're out on a date, the authorities catch up and take him away to prison. So Harley's pissed. She goes has a talk with the mayor. She says, "You better not fuck around with me and my crew, and what you did to Mason, it's not going to stand," that sort of thing. As they move on, the big enemy they run into in this collection is I can't remember his name, but he's a fisherman, a sailor, and he looks like he's drawn just like Popeye, like a modern day Popeye. And when he's out fishing, he comes across this weird seaweed in the water, and he eats it, and it's got some sort of mutagenic properties or something, and it turns him into like a raging fucking steroid case, right? And so they spend a lot of time in this issue kind of tracking him down and bringing him low. And then in the back half, Harley's hired by this lady whose daughter went out to LA to Hollywood and apparently has been taken captive by some sort of, I don't know, whoever, and they're kind of ransoming her, and so her mom's like paid a bounty hunter to go bring her daughter back, but he's had no success, so she wants Harley to do it. So Harley goes out to Hollywood, tracks down the guy that's supposedly holding her, and finds out that it's actually the daughter has just become, kind of and seduced by the LA lifestyle, doing drugs, sex, all that stuff, and is actually blackmailing her own mother to get money from her so she can keep this lifestyle up. And in the meantime, Deadshot was the bounty hunter that the mom originally hired, so he catches up to Harley and they have a fight, but eventually they part ways, I guess, somewhat happily in the end. And then at the end of the book, it's kind of a more lighthearted story where an uncle of Harley's dies out on the coast or something like that. So her and Poison Ivy and Catwoman go on a road trip to go pick up the Airstream trailer that he left to her and some other stuff. So it's just their kind of girls' road trip out. They fly out to the coast, and then they drive home with the trailer and get into some hijinks and stuff like that. So that's basically a summary of that issue. The other one I got was actually the one that comes right after, Volume 5, The Joker's Last Laugh. In this one, a good portion of the first half of it is all about Harley's mission to free Mason from jail. He's originally just in jail in New York City somewhere local, but all the inmates are taking it to him like he's having a hard time surviving. He's gonna die if he stays in there too much longer. So Harley tries to free him. The attempt fails, so she goes and back to visit the mayor and says, "You got to stop, like it was an accident. You can't do this to me. You got to let him free," this sort of thing. And she says, "If you don't, there's going to be consequences for you, my friend." And she'll have no problem shooting him in the head if she has to, right? So so the mayor doesn't necessarily agree, but she gets her point across, and he repays her by actually moving Mason to Arkham Asylum, an even higher security prison. So then they have to spring him from Arkham. And in between, while this is going on, an old enemy of Harley, some Russian lady who I can't remember their history, but this lady has a vendetta against her, against Harley. But as she is revived by her son, she finds love with one of Harley's relatives or whatever, and so all is forgiven after they have a bit of a tussle in a bowling alley, and they actually kind of start to work together on stuff, including the mission to free Mason from Arkham Asylum, I believe. So the only complication when they go to free Mason from Arkham Asylum, besides getting through all the security and executing a very foolhardy plan, is that in the cell next to Mason is one Joker. And Joker has been seducing Mason with stories about Harley Quinn after he found out that's who Mason's love interest is. So when Harley gets there and frees Mason, Joker's like, "Ooh," from down the hall, right? And Harley's like, "What the fuck?" And so she goes and lets him out of the cell and says, "Me and you gotta talk, because this shit's over and you're just crazy." And then this nice little fight sequence erupts where they just beat the fucking Christ out of each other, and in the end Harley gets the last laugh and is like lays him low, and he's basically bloody and battered on his cell floor, and she says, "That's it, buddy, boy, it's over. Don't ever talk to me again," sort of thing. So and then so that's kind of the serious part over, and then just like in the issue before, the collection before, it kind of ended on a more lighthearted one with the girls' road trip. In this one, the kind of more lighthearted situation is Harley Quinn kind of intercepts these kind of polluters in the middle of the ocean in their big ship and accidentally blows it up, and in all the wreckage she finds this lamp, and there's a genie inside. So this genie grants her all these wishes, unlimited wishes, so she keeps asking for these scenarios like where Joker's actually a good guy and yada yada, and she finds with each one, although it seems good in theory, when she actually lives it, it's like, oh, this is a problem, this doesn't work, right? So in the end, it's just like all those wishes and whatnot were all for naught, and the whole experience was all for naught, and she actually wishes for the genie to just not be a genie and be a regular person anymore. So the genie actually ends up kind of joining her crew at the end of it all. So I love Harley Quinn. She's just such a crazy character. I love how fun and happy and nice she can be, but then on the other hand, if somebody wrongs her, she won't hesitate to literally just kill them on the spot, right? Sort of thing. So she's such a neat character, and so funny, and there's no shortage of eye candy in those comics too, because Harley Quinn's hot, and then she's got all these other Harley Quinns with her, and they're all hot. So plus Catwoman and Poison Ivy and stuff. So it's not only great characters, but it's great to look at as well. So that is all for this month. I'm hoping that with just 3 issues from Heroes this month, that next month will be a little more beefy, but who knows, with COVID going on and all these industries and shortages and whatnot, you just never know what you're gonna get. So we'll wait and find out, and hopefully we'll be pleasantly surprised. Until then.